Hello, Mac.
Good evening. Good evening, Chris. How's it going?
Very good. Very good. Yourself?
Good. Good. We've got a double lineup tonight. We don't do this too often. We've got two partners coming in at once. We've got a sneak preview, and then we've got some good Q&A and educational content coming up from Courtney over at Nuera. So I'm pretty excited for the show tonight. So I'm going to give you all 45 seconds to tell me your hopes, wishes, and ambitions and dreams, and tell me, give me that, and then we'll get right into the show.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to cut it short because I know we started a little bit late here and we got lots to cover. So just say that everything is going great. We've got some great stuff coming down the pipe. We're talking to more people to bring on. And tonight's a classic example of some great partners that we have. And our favorite Rob Bonin, our favorite eviction expert, has come up with some new information regarding marijuana and marijuana grow ops in the residences, and we will be featuring a show specific of that. So if you are worried or have stuff you're worried about, you will need to watch this show. Right now he is in consultation with working with some authorities on some issues, so we can't disclose everything right now, but it's going to be an exciting show. So over to you, sir.
That sounds very good. Hey, Christine, thought I'd say hello. So yeah, tune in, say hi, guys, where you're watching from. Just let us know what's going on. Hey, Stefan, thanks for saying hello there. Excited for the show tonight. Perfect. Good. It's going to be super good. We always learn something new when we do the show. I'll hammer out some quick housekeeping, and then we're going to fly right into Viller and Tim over at SingleKey. We got Viller, the co-founder, and then Tib, I'm going to call their lead designer. He actually never really gave me his title, but he just got that now. So they've got a new feature coming out. We get our exclusive first look. So I thought, hey, this is cool. And let's kind of see what they got cooking in the shop there. So yeah, quick housekeeping. If you guys are new, we're growing about 50, 70 members a week right now. So thank you guys for sharing the group, helping in the good world. We got great conversations going on. To stay up to date, we do all our shows on YouTube, which is over at buyinggreattenants with an S.com. And hey,
and oh, you froze up. I thought I was going to have to take over.
We're moving our conversation slowly but surely. Oh, what happened?
You're freezing up. I might have to take over.
Take over.
You're good to go. I'll just bring these gentlemen in and get going here.
Okay.
Hey,
Miller.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Good. Hey, Tim.
Hi, everyone.
I love the new intro, by the way. That looks great.
Yeah. We're going to fine tune it a bit, but I got a pretty good video editor, and she's done a great job. And I didn't even say anything. I literally just said, we need a video entry. Just here's the music. You do everything else, and that's what we got. So, yeah, a little more professional.
Well, guys, I'm going to jump right into it if you don't mind, and thanks a lot for having us, especially because we have two really exciting updates we wanted to share with the members and the group. I know a lot of you guys use SingleKey already, so I'm sure you've probably already noticed some of these features in the platform already, and we figured, hey, why don't we come on the show and we spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes just showing you guys kind of some of the new updates that are available through SingleKey for free as part of the tenant credit and background check. So I'm going to pass it over to Tim in a second to tell you guys about two new features. So one is our automatic landlord reference check. So when you're sending out an invite to a tenant to do a credit check for your rental, we on our rental application form, we'll actually ask for their previous landlord's name and email address, and we will automatically send them an email asking for a reference on the tenant and to rate them in terms of cleanliness, overall impression, as well as paying on time. And then we take that information and send it back to you and make it available on your results page, which is great. So it saves you a bit of time. It maybe saves you a phone call, which is great. And secondly, and more excitedly, we're actually releasing a pre-screening form to help you pre-screen your tenants for free before you actually decide to run a credit check on the folks that are qualified to move forward to the next step. And this is something and this is something we actually, if you remember, we brought forward to the group a few weeks ago to ask them, hey, what are your top pre-screening questions for tenants? And then we took those and assembled them into our pre-screening form. So with that, Tim, I'll pass it over to you so you can show everybody your great work.
Yeah, great. And definitely you guys have been very helpful. Billy's been reaching out to Chris and Mackenzie and people in the group. And thank you guys for your input, because that helped us build this, and hopefully this will be something that's useful for everyone. So let me just share my screen here.
Okay.
And everyone seeing my screen at this point?
Yes, we can.
You are live now.
Let me get somewhere. Great. Okay, so many of you may be familiar with the results page, and this is for screening. If you're trying to do background checks on people, we'll help you generate a report on people's financial and criminal history, and that's what the screening services of SingleKey does. And Viller pointed out that now, when tenants do list a previous landlord, we'll reach out to that landlord automatically and ask for feedback if the landlord has feedback on the tenant. And if they share feedback, that will be available to you, and you'll be able to see what the landlords had to say about their tenant, which is a helpful feature. And that happens automatically. Just to refresh people, if they don't know, there's sort of two paths that landlords can use to screen tenants. If you have all of the information and the tenant's consent, you can just fill things out yourself and run a report right away, which is this path on the right. And otherwise, you can send an application to the tenant. They can fill it out, and once they finish filling out the form, you'll be notified, and the report will be run. So it's this case on the left where we ask the tenant for information. If included in that information is ways to contact their previous landlords, we will do that for you. And any information they share, we'll pass on to you, and that's pretty helpful. But what I was excited to show you, and what you guys have helped us build, is this new concept of pre-screening people, so that you can kind of get a sense of who's applying to your property before you go through the step of actually spending money on them and doing a more comprehensive screening. And in that spirit, we've created this pre-screening portal. So you'll see it in the top menu and in the drop-down menu that you can pre-screen people. And there's two ways to pre-screen people. You may want to pre-screen applicants for a specific unit that you're renting out, or you might want to have, if you're a property manager or you have many properties, you may have a listing or a website where you just want to put a link where people can find the link and apply at random. So let's just take a look at that first. If you just had a link that you wanted to have in public, it's not attached to any address, you can just copy this link and attach it to your website, or put it on a Facebook page or something. And anyone who comes across it can just submit a link. I've pre-filled some to save time, like they do in cooking shows where they pre-bake a casserole so you don't have to watch for 4 hours. And so this would be that situation. Someone might have come across this application on your website, and they fill out their information with some basic questions, and they can submit. And as soon as they've submitted, I logged in and out. Anyways, sorry.
Right, and as you're doing that, Tim, so the questions that we have here, guys, the cool thing about this form now is that we've made it fully customizable, and Tim will show you in a second in terms of how you can add and remove questions here. So, for example, you can add in, credit score ranges. Some of the questions here, again, were sourced from the group. The challenge we had now is that we didn't want to overwhelm everybody with a million questions, so we leave it up to you to decide which questions are very important for you versus what are not as important. So you can customize the form with as many or as few questions as you'd like to have in there, and they will appear on the pre-screening form here once the tenant submits it, like Tim just did.
Great. Okay. And so a more detailed situation might be when you actually are screening a specific unit. You want to keep track of who's applying to what unit. If you have screened people before, you'll be able to see all of the previous addresses that you've used for either pre-screenings or screenings will be available to you. Or if you want to add a new address that that you have, then you can add a new address.
This is
Alberta Northwest.
I was going to say, this is very helpful, like you mentioned before. If you are attaching this onto your listing on your website, it helps to put a property in there, because if you have multiple units that you're renting, you want to keep track of which unit are they interested in applying to. And it'll appear on your results page there as soon as you could create the form.
That's good. All right, so I want to throw. I'm back. I think. Can you guys hear me? Because I've had some internet problems. Got my kids off YouTube, so hopefully I've got some bandwidth to go around. But okay, I'm gonna throw two things out. And I know Villa, we talked about this offline about the first part, talking about that automatic survey that goes out to a previous landlord. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna grill you a bit on this. I know my concern is when someone puts again a fake reference and it's just buddy who applies and it gives them shining results, right? So what's your take on that? Like how would you advise people to use the tool that you've just provided?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I see it as basically kind of just a free time saver. So, for example, if you were planning to actually reach out to the landlord and kind of get their perspective anyways, this kind of just does it for you automatically. You have the option, or building in the option, to also kind of just choose whether or not that auto reference goes out or not. Now, at the end of the day, this is information that the tenant supplies themselves. So at the end of the day, it could be they could enter, like you said, like their buddy. You want to take it with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, I would still make that phone call to the landlord. What I find them against is most of the time people will reply back. You'll see their signature. It'll be Buildium, let's say Property Management Inc. And you have some pretty good confidence that from that signature that it was a real landlord, not just a friend.
Okay.
So there are some ways to kind of get around it, and it's just one additional free data point that you're getting in addition. So I would say it doesn't replace your reference check, but it could help save you some time.
Brilliant. And I think I just wanted to make sure we got that highlighted out to the community. It's in addition to your regular due diligence, it doesn't replace your due diligence. So I think if it comes back all shine stars all the time, I probably don't, But if it comes back as a negative response, chances are you probably actually got the landlord, and then that'd be a useful part to use that tool and be like, okay, dig further, or red flag, move on. So that's how my take on using that tool.
Yeah, and I think you can use your common sense to see how things line up. This score was generated at random, but you can see that this person has a bad credit score, but the reference is very positive. So in that situation, you might be a little suspicious if someone has lots of bad metrics but an excellent feedback from a landlord. That might be suspicious. But if everything kind of seems like it's referencing the same person, then it's just painting an overall picture that gives you an impression.
Yeah. The data points are congruent for what we're trying to understand about the prospective tenant. Okay, cool. We'll give you guys another couple minutes here, then we want to flip over the next one. So what was the next part of the tool?
Well, let's take a look at the pre-screening. So say you have an existing unit and you want to screen someone, then you can send some emails out to people. You can send them in bulk, I think up to 5.
Perfect.
Let me do a real one. And you can send them emails. I should get it immediately.
Yeah, and we don't have to go through the full process. It's very similar to a credit check.
The same thing, except that it will allow you to sort by email. And like our reports, when you send them out, we can tell when people have opened. So you'll see whether they've opened the email or not. I'll just open it quickly to show that. Let's see here. Sorry. This is bad entertainment. Is watching someone.
Well, I'll ask a question while you do that to Viller. So you guys fire out this survey. You can customize the questions, which you've showed us, Viller and Tim. I get that information back. In addition to the questions I've asked them to answer, what other information I get back? Do I get the landlord's name, email? What else? Kind of just paint me the picture of what we see.
For the pre-screening, you'll get the landlord's name and email for the references, you get the name and the email included with the reference, so you could reach out to them again if you wanted. But in this situation, this pre-screening, we're only asking them what you've indicated that you want to ask. So first of all, let me show you a report. So this person filled it out, and you can view their answers to their questions. Brief summary of the person. You can decide whether you like them or not. And if you decide you want to move forward, we allow you to just go into the screening process right away, and we'll carry forward whatever relevant information you have. We'll autofill so that you can just get right to screening an applicant you like immediately.
And if I could add just a bit more to that, Tim. So this really idea came up, guys, because people were asking us, I'm not sure if the tenant's qualified to run a credit check. I want to do that as a last step when everything else checks out. So this pre-screening is kind of like the first step of the process. You have people that are replying to your ad that are interested. You just basically copy and paste that link, and you let them fill it out. And you can quickly sort by income level, credit score, to very quickly screen the ones that are not qualified, and then focus your time on the ones that are. So, and that'll decide kind of your next step. Do you call them in for a viewing? Do you have a phone call to understand, to ask them more deep down questions? And then when you're satisfied, the next step is to then proceed with a credit check. And as Tim said, you can actually go ahead and order one directly from the pre-screening page, and it'll autofill the information that was provided seamlessly.
And is this feature live now?
It's live, yeah. So if you log into SingleKey, you'll see that right now. So my ask for everybody, if you guys don't mind, you've been very helpful in helping us build this out initially, is to go ahead and play with it. And I'll create a posting on ALC if it's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to get feedback on how you like it and what are some of the questions that are missing that should be there. And we can definitely add them on. Tim and I are working on this for the next few weeks. So we'll definitely find
and let me just highlight that quickly, Viller, that the form is customizable based on your preferences. So this is a preview of what your form would look like, but you can decide which questions you want to ask and which you don't want to ask. So, so if you said, I don't care if they need a parking space because I don't have a parking space or something, then you can update your form so that you're only asking the questions that you want to ask. And the questions we decided to ask, we came to by getting feedback from landlords. So if you find that there are not questions if we're not asking questions you want to know the answer to, we would love to hear that from you, because that'll help us make a better product.
I have no problem giving feedback, and neither does the community. So we'll definitely keep you guys in tuned. And that looks great. I'm excited to use the new tool. And gentlemen, thank you for spending some time tonight to share it with us.
This is a pleasure as always. Awesome, guys. All right. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
All right. So we're going to work better on our time management, but that's okay. We got some good information over from Viller and Tim at SingleKey. Without further ado, politely waiting in the background is Courtney with Nuera Insurance. I'll get her on the show right now.
Hi,
Courtney.
guys. How's it going?
Hi,
Good.
Courtney.
Good. Thanks for patiently waiting for us. Kind of some new features that kind of see we got coming down the pipe, which kind of helps us do a better job. And you guys fit right in that camp of giving us landlords more tools to do the job and our due diligence better and better. So, so super excited tonight. So for the folks that don't know you, let's introduce who Courtney is. I know you replaced somebody that we used to work with.
Yeah. So my name is Courtney, and I have taken over business development at Nuera Insurance, which is a online digital insurance brokerage, which we've partnered up with Mackenzie and Chris. And so, my job now is to help people set up the program so that as a landlord, you have your referral code and your renters buy their insurance and all that fun stuff. We'll get to that. But I started as an insurance broker, so I'm licensed. I can talk about insurance in any province except for Ontario. I don't have my Rebo, so no Ontario questions. But that's kind of me in a nutshell. So thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're thrilled. We're thrilled. When we had you guys on last time, we had so many questions. It was the entire show. So I'm pretty sure we'll go down that path again. So folks, if you haven't queued up your question, hey, Cindy, good to see you tonight. Let us know. We want to hear them. So start thinking them through. We're going to go through some basics, I guess, because again, we got a lot of new members. There's a lot of different types of insurance products out there. And I don't think maybe people know the nuances of the difference of the products. And then I'm pretty excited because I'm actually using you guys' service. So I wanted to share my experience as a use case. And maybe, Courtney, you can help us paint the picture on the back end of what you guys are doing when we deal with tenant insurance. So let's segue from there. We're talking tenant insurance, also known as renters insurance. How does that differ from other types of commonly used insurance that landlords might have?
So renters insurance is a little different because it doesn't actually provide any physical coverage for the property like you would as like a property owner. What it covers your tenants for is for their liability. So if they unintentionally cause bodily damage or property damage, which is the big thing landlords want, to third party property, that's when the liability would kick in. It also covers their personal belongings, so like their TV, their furniture, their whatever. And then it also covers their additional living expenses. So say there's some sort of loss and they need to stay at a hotel or an Airbnb. This is the part of the policy that covers them for that. So that way the landlord doesn't have to pay for that out of their pocket if they were at fault. So there's tons of value for renters to have insurance. We don't, at Nuera, we encourage them to take insurance, not just because it's a requirement from the landlord, but because it's really in their best interest to have renters insurance. So
absolutely. And I want to highlight probably the two key things you brought up. The biggest thing is a blind side that I didn't realize I had was this liability if the tenant does something unintentional or intentional, and there's a flood and there's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of damage in the basement, and you got a basement suite and they're now out on the street or they have to go find accommodations, both you have that cost. And if they're deemed negligent in that damage, you can your personal home policy, and correct me if I'm wrong, Courtney, how I've understood this, can actually push that claim over to their tenant insurance and keep your policy claim free.
That's right. So the way that it works is that like you as the homeowner would still file your insurance claim, and then your renter would file their claim with their insurance. And then behind the scenes, your insurance company is going to do what's called subrogate. So they might pay up the initial cost to get your home repaired as soon as possible to get you back to the state you were prior to the loss. And then behind the scenes, they are going to go after the renter's insurance and get paid back for the damages. And then your policy would remain claims free because you weren't at fault for that, right? It was somebody else.
That is so amazing. And especially right now with some of the flux of the insurance rates moving quite volatilely, I'd say in the last year, 18 months here in Alberta, I think that's a huge thing if you can keep your policy claim free and really protect your backside as landlords.
Yeah, there's big discounts for having claims free, right? Like the kind of the cap for where the discount stop is about 10 years. So if you've had property insurance or renter's insurance for 10 years, that's getting you like the max discounts that you're going to get for being claims free. So.
And you just kind of made me think of something else now. If you don't have tenants insurance, I mean, on the renter side, this would be good for tenants, but if they keep getting insurance, they build that track record of being claim free, then they're lowering their premiums.
Exactly. Plus, if they ever decide that they want to buy their own home, their experience as a renter with their renter's insurance counts towards total property insurance time. So if they rented for 5 years and now they're buying, and they haven't had a claim in that time, they're now claims free for 5 years. And so they're going to get a discount for that time versus having to start from square one.
And that is a great way to take away an objection from a tenant saying they don't want to get tenant insurance. I love that. I didn't even know that, actually. So learn something new every time. Chris, what are you thinking about this?
I'm just sitting quiet in the background. Here's a question for you. Had a tenant use a tiger torch to burn weeds at the side of the house with a cedar siding.
Oh, no.
$160,000 claim on a tenant that wasn't hers.
Yeah.
Now we did, Christine, maybe you can add in there, did the tenant have insurance? And I'll go to you, Courtney. Would liability cover that mistake that the tenant made? Right.
So one thing that I want to get off the hop is like, claims are dealt with on such a case-by-case basis that it's so hard to say definitively what would be covered and what wouldn't. It's really up to the wordings and the adjuster for the claim and things like that. But looking at this, oh my gosh. I feel like it probably would be covered under their liability because, like it's not something that okay. Actually, so it was on their insurance. Yeah, because
good.
They were at fault, right? They were doing something that caused damage to someone else's property. So it makes sense that would be covered. But in that case, it could really go either way because, then you get into that hairy area of, was it tenant vandalism? And if you as the homeowner don't have tenant vandalism coverage on your home policy, then there's no way to recuperate that cost because the renter's insurance has in the wording. Sorry, I'm really geeking out here.
Do
But
it.
they have in the wordings that if the renter intentionally damages the property, the insurance company for the renter's insurance will not pay out. They don't have to because it was on purpose, right?
Wow.
Which is
So
why,
it's all wording and positioning. Hey, so I mean this is the key nuance is if you go and
yeah,
make a claim, say, yeah, my tenant was doing gardening and made the poor decision of using a tiger torch as opposed to they don't like me and they burnt down my garage.
yeah, right, exactly. And
So
so,
you do have an ID 10T clause.
a what?
A what?
An ID. You guys are going to laugh once you write it down and figure it out. So an ID 10T.
Identity. I don't know.
No, ID 10T. Got to make this show a little bit fun.
Oh, we missed your joke.
Yeah.
No, you'll all get it. Just write it down. ID 10T, and
Okay.
then we'll carry on.
Okay.
Well, I will write that down at the end of the show here and figure that out.
There's some computer geeks on here that already got it, and they're just laughing right now. So,
good.
and I guess
Love
you
it.
aren't that guy.
Not today. Hey, Don. Don's our thanks for tuning in. He's one of our eviction specialists up in Edmonton, out in Fort Saskatchewan. Thanks for tuning in, Don. Good to see you here. Okay, so that's a really good point, though. So I think probably the takeaway that you kind of helped us kind of come to here, Courtney, is be familiar with the policy because again, if you've got something in these gray areas, you could have wrote the email the wrong way and then lose $10,000 claim just from interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's why it's always good to have open lines of communication with your insurance broker. You want to make sure that your insurance broker is familiar with rental properties, with the ins and outs of renters policies wordings, because they vary from company to company.
There you go.
Oh,
There you go.
I was writing it like TEN. And I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, me neither. That's what I was doing. So Chris has a delay of about 2 minutes in his jokes, but they're still funny in the end.
Or it's your processing that's delayed. I don't know.
All right, cool. So all right. So we talked about tenant insurance. So then, what's some other types of insurance that we'll deal with as landlords that, let's go from property or rental insurance. And then if you get into the multifamily, what's some other types of insurance that we need to be aware of?
Yeah. So, okay, let's start from top down. So it would be home, condo, rented condo, renter's insurance. So if you have a rental property, you need to be sure that your policy is set up for a rental property. Because if you have it as your primary residence and you're renting it out, and say there was to be a claim, your insurance company will not cover you for that because they will find the loophole in the wordings that you're renting it out and it wasn't covered. So, that's the biggest thing. So if you have a rental property, you need to have your policy set up as a rental property, and you need to have your renters have insurance as well. And then you're fully covered, right? And then you get into the nuances of the coverages that you might want, which is like what I mentioned, the tenant vandalism you could get on a detached dwelling, and things like that. So I don't know how technical you want me to get here, but
no, that's good. And I think probably the biggest takeaway here, Chris, we'll go in that question that you got pinned up there, but you got really clear and like just disclosure up front. It's a rental property. You need a rental insurance policy. Like they're just completely different products. So basically you're not insured if you're running as a primary residence with a renter inside. Like don't do it.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Sorry, I need to back that up because I was following. You're saying don't run insurance under your primary residence?
No, what I'm saying is if you're renting the property out to make sure that it is covered correctly as a rental property, and not say you lived in the house and then you moved out because you bought somewhere else and now you're renting out your old house and you've bought the new one. You need to make sure the old one has that it's set up as a rental property.
Yeah, because where you caught me there is what my insurance company has gone and done is they've extended my house policy on over to my rental properties, which keeps my rates down and keeps me non-commercial. So what is my risk there? It's the fact that if I do have a claim on any of my rentals, I have an overall increase. However, I'm going to be downloading that overall cost back to the renters because if my house, any increase has to be displaced back over the business. So if I have an increase on my personal home, that will come as a, as a percentage of a rental increase is the way I looked at it. So it's just a sort of a cost of doing business in order to keep my revenue up at this point.
Okay. So who's this question we've got queued up there? Who's it from?
Barbara Bonk.
Oh, Barbara. Perfect, Barbara. Oh, and I have a question from Barbara tonight. She raised a point earlier in the week. I've saved the page what to talk about. Chris, remind me before we end the show. So as a landlord, can we purchase insurance with Nuera?
Yeah, you sure can.
Yeah.
So a couple things. One, you can purchase your rental property insurance yourself. Two, because of our partnership with the ALC here, you can be set up as a referral partner, which gives you this referral code that you give to your renters. And the way that works is then your renters go on, do their quote, they put in your discount code. Mm-hmm. It saves them some money off of their policy. But the biggest advantage that we have for landlords and property managers, which is the whole reason I think we partnered up, is that our system allows document tracking. So when your renters use those referral codes, they consent to automatically sending their landlord a copy of their policy documents. So you get a copy when they purchase their policy, you get a copy if they make any changes, and you get a copy if they cancel their policy. So you don't have to worry about your renters setting up their policy, then canceling it 30 days later, and you having no idea. You will get the automatic notification from our system.
All right. So I'm going to segue right off you there, Courtney. I love it. Yeah, you stole my thunder, but so excited.
I'm so sorry.
Is why. No, totally cool. This is why I jumped at the chance to partner with you guys. It came down to a few different reasons, but really the biggest takeaway is we're protecting our backside by making a requirement for your tenants to have tenant insurance. Absolutely. That's a pro tip. That's a best practice. Your tenants need to have insurance. You can make that a requirement here in Alberta. So do it. Now on the second thing, I'll show you guys. I've already done this. You guys provide my tenant insurance back here in February. So I thought maybe I'd just show how I was using your guys' tool and kind of walk through the print screens of how really easy it was. So here's my kickoff email for my tenants, right? So they've already gone through and signed my lease. So now I'm doing a welcome email or a welcome package kind of thing. So I don't know, the print's super small. I'm realizing. Let's see if I can help you guys because I also need glasses. So let's see if it's a little bit easier. Yeah. Okay. So here's a kickoff email, and I go through and I talk about a bunch of different things. I talk about the utilities, the lease, the total amount. I did a pro rate because these tenants moved in the middle of February. So best practice, I always get a deposit against first month's rent in its entirety. So if I have the first month being a half month, there's only 2 weeks. I just switch the months around from the second month to the first month, and I collect 1 full month first, and then that second month when it's actually a full month, I go back and collect the two weeks rent from the prorated beginning of the lease. Because again, I want to have that money collected. It just ensures I've got someone committed to renting my property and avoiding vacancies. Now, what I liked, what you guys did, Courtney, was you guys gave me this nice little pamphlet, which gives me my promo code. Oh, I can't click on that. It's a print screen. I forgot that. But you guys also gave an information document. So I included these when I sent them out to my tenant. And I said, hey, by the way, rentals and tenant insurance is a requirement. Now, I know the question got asked last time to you guys was, well, can I force them to use my Nuera promo code? And no, you can't force them to use a provider, but you can make it a requirement. And am I correct on that, Courtney?
Yeah, that's kind of a hot topic right now in property management. We have heard that some property managers are making it a part of the lease that you have to go with a certain provider for your renter's insurance. I don't know the legality of that, like if that's actually they're allowed to do that or not.
I can tag in that one there. So when I got into discussions with you and we're talking with your CEO Braden there, and we were going back and forth, and we asked that question because like, oh, we love the program. Let's make this a requirement. And he's like, back off a bit. You can't. The choice is still with the tenant, but you can encourage them. So that's what I've done here, right? So I've gone back. I say, hey, by the way, proof of rental insurance before you take possession. I need to see that. And so just to give you guys context how this happened, this was sent out on January 24th at 8 o'clock at night. I think this was like a Saturday, or I can't quite remember when. And then I said, by the way, I need insurance from you guys, your proof of your renter's insurance. By the way, if you want to use my promo code, here it is, and click on the link here to start over at Nuera Insurance. On the backside, and maybe I'll steal some of your thunder, Courtney, what you guys have done really well is the process of sign up the tenant is very painless. It happens in 3 ways. It's about 5 minutes, and the number of questions is about probably 1/3 compared to your guys' competition, because you guys don't make the tenants fill out any questions about the building, right? Because as a new tenant, I'm going to rent somewhere. I'm not going to know the construction or the age of the roof. I'm not going to know the age of the furnace. Are the walls, is it brick construction or is it wood frame? Like, those are things that if you make a tenant jump through those hoops, you're less likely to get compliance, or it's just more of a painful process, and it's tougher to get more tenants to follow through on it. So you guys don't ask that because you actually have a database that has that information in the background based on the address, which is awesome. So you've streamlined that part. And then the other thing you guys do is you can accept payments. It's all done from your phone. You don't even need an app. You just go to the website, and you guys are, I think, one of the few in Canada that actually allow credit card payment for tenant insurance.
Yep.
So cool.
1 in 5 in all of Canada accepts credit card payments for monthly payments. So
you've removed all the objections, no excuses from a tenant saying I can't get it. And at the end of the day, folks, like, this is your rental property. This is your ball game. You dictate to them that tenant insurance is an absolute requirement. It protects your backside. And what's cool now, the way you guys built out this tool, so you kind of talked about it earlier there, Courtney, and I'll highlight it again, is as we go through this process. So I sent out this email at 8 o'clock on the 24th. The next day, let me just do this. Click here. Yeah, the next day, super tiny again. I got this automatic notification at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not even 24 hours later. My tenant goes on, logs in, and says client name has I clicked, no, this is the right one. Yeah, I got these 2 emails at the same time, but you guys sent out 2 emails, and I thought this was super cool. So one, I got this email saying, hey, we've attached a copy of the referral client agreement, and basically this is the written permission that you've gotten from your tenant to allow you to be notified about any cancellations to their tenant insurance policy. So perfect. And this is all automated. I just received the email, and then the third email that came in at the same time, so same timestamp, both at 2 o'clock here, was boom, this is it. So instead of waiting for your tenant to remember to forward them their insurance policy to you so you have it on file, it has the name of the insured person. So this is my tenant. Here's my rental address, the effective date, and even better, down at the very bottom, attached here, proof of insurance. Done. I didn't lift any fingers. Now that's nice. That's super smooth. It streamlines the process. It's less effort on my part to get my rental property up and going with my new tenants, onboarding them. But what's really cool is now if there's any cancellation for whatever reason, I'll get auto notified the same way. And what is really cool about that is if your tenancy is going sideways with your tenants and you don't know it, and there's a potential midnight move coming on the horizon, you've just got an early warning indicator of something going wrong, and you can jump on it before it turns into a big problem where they midnight move and they stick you with a bunch of utility bills or damages or any of that stuff. You can get on this way sooner and prevent those problems from happening. So, I mean, that is really cool. And that's why I was so excited to sign up with you guys. And I believe truly in the best products. We keep doing that. It all makes our lives easier. So I went a lot there. I know, Courtney, this is your ball game. I'm talking everything. Like, where do you want to add in on that, or give me some feedback?
I mean, the biggest thing that I want to say is, I'm sure a lot of the members in your group are like, well, how does it really work? Like, is it actually going to work? And I can tell you that we have partnerships with like commercial property management companies who use this for thousands of renters, and it works. they get those documents, they get those notifications, and it streamlines the process. Like you said, like it takes so much of the tracking and hunting and chasing after the renter off of the landlord and puts it onto the system, and it does its thing, right?
Yeah,
So
it's a great use of tech.
yeah.
Chris, have you jumped on this boat yet? I know you've got yourself signed up, but have you gotten your paperwork up to snuff yet?
Yeah, I'm going to be going to my tenants. I do my annual check-in here for insurance. And so I'll take a slip up to them and basically I'll ask them, say, it's time to provide me proof of insurance again. If you don't have it or it's slipped, word it properly. So that's, and then, yeah. And then just get them say, if you don't, then fire it through you guys. And that's just makes sense to do this, right? So.
Yeah.
It's a slick process. So we got some questions that queued up here as we kind of went through that. And so
Ready.
question came. Yeah, let's get them. I think is this Barbara again, Chris?
Yeah, I queued one up here, but somebody took it down here. So
I did. I was a little
okay,
clicky.
so this one here is from Joyce Blakely.
Okay, hey Joyce, thanks for tuning in the show. Definitely appreciate it. So let's get your question up. I have a potential tenant who works in Fort Mac, 14 days shift work, so 14 days out, and they come home for 7 days. From an insurance perspective, is there anything I should be aware of for if something happens while he is away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So technically, the property would not be considered vacant at that point because he is intending on coming back. However, especially during the heat season, so that's winter when your furnace needs to heat the home, it's really, really important that someone is checking on that property every 72 hours. Because if a pipe is to burst because it gets so cold and leaks and damages the property and someone hasn't been there in 72 hours, you're going to have a real struggle with the insurance company getting that covered. So realistically, that should be on the renter because he is renting the property from you. He's the one that's leaving. So he should be having like a friend, like a trusted, person coming and checking on it. And really, ideally, it should be every 48 hours, 48 to 72. And then during the summer, when it's warmer, as we're getting into that, it can be less. Then I would say maybe every 96, once a week, somewhere in there. Okay. But for compliance with the insurance company, it's really important to make sure during winter that it's actively being checked on for those water pipe claims.
So that's interesting. So, go ahead, Chris.
For my insurance, what I do is I tell them is if they're gone more than 3 days, they have to notify me, and it's right in there that I will be checking on the property unless they've made other arrangements, and then they have to tell me who's doing the checking. So,
perfect.
And that's in your lease, Chris?
Yes.
Ooh, sounds like I have an opportunity to improve my lease. Thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, I didn't know that. I always kind of assumed the industry standard was this 1 week, have someone come in every 5 days or once a week to ensure things are in ticking order. But you actually say the compliance is a lot tighter when it's like in the frigid temperatures.
That's right. Yeah, during the winter it's really, really strict. During the summer you can get away with that once a week kind of thing.
Okay, so I'm going to throw another question at you. I'm a kind of a tech kind of person. So what if I've got a thermostat that I can monitor remotely, or I've got wet sensors throughout the house? Does that come into play for checking on the property?
I think it would really be up to the insurance company if they're willing to allow that. I will say though, I kind of doubt it. Insurance is really slow to adapt technology. As an example, if you have a alarm on your home, you don't get the alarm discount for your property unless it's monitored by a third-party company. So if you have cameras outside and like a doorbell camera and all of that stuff that is to your phone and alerts you, that's not good enough for them, right? Okay. So I would seriously doubt that they would be willing to use that.
So don't rely on that then. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, you have all these water and stuff. If that's a monitored thing, you're going to get a discount on your home-based insurance.
Yeah.
And you don't, and it's a little less worry for you too.
Yeah, exactly. And water mitigation is a big thing. So if you have that in your home when you're setting up your home policy or rented home policy, make sure to tell your broker that, because it can get you some pretty significant savings.
Okay. I guess so that makes sense. I mean, it's got to be by a trusted third party, and I'm just thinking out loud here. So it's an alarm system. It goes out to a industry standard monitoring company. If I do have that in place, coming back to this frigid temperature and requiring these checks every 48 to 72 hours, does that affect that check-in frequency?
No, sorry. That was just an example of like how rigid the insurance companies are with allowing technology and stuff like that. Even if you were to have a monitored alarm company, they're not going to notify you if a pipe bursts in your basement and it's slowly flooding. So no, you still need to have like a trusted third party coming to your home and checking to make sure that, there's no pipes frozen, there's nothing leaking. Yeah.
Okay.
So Sandra Mooney asks here, does it cost more rental versus personal home insurance? Well,
it does. When you're renting a property out, there's inherently more risk. And so it's not significant. It is, but it is a little bit more. In Alberta, I would say, in Calgary, we'll say with Calgary, because I'm more familiar with Calgary, the average home policy is anywhere from $1,200 to say $1,500 a year, roughly. Whereas a rented home would be starting at about $1,600 and going above $2,000. So it's slightly more, but again, that's just because there's inherently more risk, right?
Yeah, good to know.
This one's from Barbara Bonk again.
Okay. So it's one thing to request the tenant to have insurance, and then they can cancel insurance. So I'm going to jump on this, because this is the whole print skin thing I was just sharing about. That's right. What's stopping a tenant? Hypothetically talking, they move in March 1st. Here we are, in this month. With March 1st, they've paid rent. They've showed you proof of insurance plus the policy and all that good stuff. And now 17 days later, on the 17th, they go and cancel the insurance. How do you know about it? Well, if you've got this automatic permission built into the system that we've got set up with Nuera, you'll automatically get emailed once that policy is canceled. Now, I did ask this question offline. I believe it was with you, Courtney. Do I get to see what the reason behind the cancellation? And I believe you guys say no for privacy reasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you would for privacy reasons. We have to be really careful about that. So you would just get a copy that it was canceled.
Right. So cancellation, it would be a red flag, but it's not always a bad thing. So an example would be if they default on paying their insurance, right? But probably what you guys do really well as well is you guys will proactively phone out tenants who are overdue to see what's going on and make a payment plan. So you don't just cancel the insurance once they've defaulted. There's a workaround or a work through process to keep the tenant insured.
Yeah, I will admit we are very lenient with missed payments and rescheduling payments. And, especially during COVID, we've worked tirelessly with renters to make sure, because, we believe in insurance. Obviously, we sell it, right? Like, we know that it's in the renter's best interest to have insurance, not just because it's part of their lease, but because it's best for them. And so we attempt again and again and again and again. And so we don't register letter off of a policy until we absolutely have no other recourse. And that usually only happens when the renter refuses to respond to any forms of communication. We try phone calling, emailing, whatever. And if they just won't respond after several attempts, then we have no choice but to get off risk. So
totally.
Yeah.
Guidry asks, that's the next question. Does it have to be 1 year, or could it be 6 months?
So we only offer 1 year insurance policies. We don't do 6 months. I know some insurance companies do, but it seems like they're all moving away from that. However, with us, I will say we don't have a cancellation fee. And so that's another thing that we always like to point out to renters is that, like, if you do move, you're not going to get charged a fee for canceling your policy. We're happy to help you. If a renter is moving, we're happy to help them change their policy to the new property, whatever. And And we always try to get the renter to keep the insurance because, again, it's in their best interest, right? So,
So technically no, but really the way the workflow works, they keep the insurance, they can cancel. So they could go and sign up for a year, and then it's a 6 months, they change their mind, maybe they move back with mom and dad, they can cancel it. So it has that flexibility.
Yeah, we have lots of clients that came in, and had their renter's insurance, and they were referred by one partner, and then they've moved and they've been with us for 5 years, but they're no longer living in that partner property. And they just are happy with us and they stay with us. So,
That's awesome.
Oh, let's see. Christine asks, do you handle insurance on buildings for the rental?
Does this sound like a multifamily question, or is this like a single family door?
I think she's meaning as the owner of the building, will you insure it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's definitely more to unpack there. Like, are we talking about like a duplex, a house? Are we talking about an apartment building? Because if it's like just a detached home or a condo or a duplex or something like that, that's considered like a personal property that you're renting out, we can easily write that on our platform. But if it's any more complex, like if it is an apartment building or several units, then it might be better written as a commercial policy, which we still can do. It's just that then it would get kicked over to our commercial producer. And then it's just a bit of a different process. That's all.
Okay. So I'll put it to you because I have a half a duplex. So that's pretty straightforward. That's a house. You'll insure it.
Oh, yeah.
But a fourplex that I would have, well, I don't have it, but another landlord has, they have a fourplex. So again, can you cover a fourplex for me as the owner?
So in the fourplex, are there 4 separate units being rented?
Yes.
Okay. So no, then we wouldn't be able to to bind that with our online platform because we can only write properties with up to 3 rental suites. That's it. That's the cap for our online platform. Okay. We can absolutely still write it, but we would have to go a like traditional insurance route with, like Wawanesa, Intact, SGI, or potentially even commercially, depending on the type of building.
So that's easy. So at the end of the day, if you need insurance, you guys have a vast variety of options, and
absolutely
to package it into what we're trying to do here, and the smaller versions, it doesn't fit, but you have another product and you can insure it. So for that matter, you go corporate and you can go, I have a 21 building unit. Can you do that? Sure. We're going to send you over to corporate. So
exactly. Cool. Anything you got, we can insure, I promise.
Sure. And you know what? It's always good because of this and because of the connection we've made with you for the group, come to you, let you have an opportunity to quote on it. You're coming because of the page and, maybe they'll squeak you out a discount, right? Nudge, nudge, right, Courtney?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
I want to grab one guy's question here, Mac, unless you have more to that.
Grab that question. I had 2 follow-ups, but I think we drifted so far now. I'm
You're lost, are you?
Yeah, I'm trying to connect the dots and I can't. I wanted to highlight something you said, Courtney, that was really important. It's good to make sure, but it's
gone now.
Yeah.
It'll come
back.
I'll
just have to come back another time then.
That's right.
Because we're going to get on a time crunch here. And anyway, I want to, if I can answer Steve's question from a business perspective here. So how would you handle a tenant that questions why they need insurance? Well, first things first, it's all about liability, Stephen. You're a business owner and you want to make sure that your property is protected. So I simply put it to my tenants, we need insurance? Yeah. So I have a duplex. You're renting this half. If the guy on the other half burns you out because he's had a fire, who's going to cover you? Well, his insurance. What if he doesn't have insurance? Well, won't yours cover me? Why should mine cover you? This is why you need insurance. So the answer is no, mine won't cover you because it's not my fault. Mine covers me and covers a building. So whatever you have, the smoke damage or complete fire damage and all your children's stuff is going to be gone when you could have spent 30 or 40 bucks a month to be properly insured. So that's the way I put it to them. They go, oh yeah, okay. So what they're trying to do is deflect responsibility. They want to blame somebody else because they think they're going to be safe themselves. And then I put it back to them. I said, what if you have an accidental stove fire or something? You light the whole place up. How are you going to pay for the guy next door? And how are you going to pay for my building? Well, you have insurance. I said, well, guess what? My insurance might cover it. However, you're going to be indebted to my insurance company for a very long time because they're going to come after you because of your mistake.
Mhm.
And once you put that into all in perspective, and I bring it back to the simplest form is what everybody knows is vehicle. If you want to drive a vehicle down the road and you only want PLPD, you are going to, you're driving a brand new vehicle that, geez, you won the lottery and it's paid for. Say, but I don't want to pay for the extra insurance. I don't want collision. Great. So you crash it up. Who's paying for it? You got to go win another lottery. Probably not going to happen. But if you have the extra insurance, then you're going to have someone that's going to take on the financial responsibility, and because you got a little extra paper. So that's the way I put it to my tenants. And you know what? They get it. As soon as you do a car comparison, that's what they know, because everybody has a car. But the house thing, they don't get. They just think they're living there is not going to be a problem. I went to actually my next door neighbor, Mac. You'll remember I talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
And she came over to me because she knows we're friends. She says, our furnace won't shut off. I said, what are you talking? I go in and the house, you can smell burning metal. That, you know how something brand new, like a barbecue or something, you started up that, but it got so hot, it was starting to heat the metal up. You could smell metal starting to burn. So I went in and I checked the furnace, and sure enough, it was going. And I said, well, I looked for the switch. I couldn't find it. So I said, throw the breaker. So she threw the breaker and the fan shut off, but the burner kept going. So what had happened simply was that the gas mechanism inside the automatic shutoff
Got stuck.
failed.
Open.
It failed.
Yeah.
It stuck open. So
Wow.
she was on her way to work. Had she not realized that the furnace, geez, the house is extra hot, because they had got ready to go in the morning, turn the furnace up like they normally do.
Yeah.
But the house was abnormally hot. She goes, well, shut it down. And it didn't shut down. And so she checked with me. This is how we figured it out.
Chris?
No, it was actually it's Andrea Workington's tenant. And, so fortunately the house is right beside my house. So fortunately, Andrea and I are friends, and I personally know the people who rent from her. So, so you know what? One is Andrea's house got saved, didn't get burned down. And two, these people, all their effects got saved. So had they not had insurance, Andrea's insurance wouldn't cover them. Well, it might, because it would be, you can correct me on this, Courtney. Her insurance may cover some of their stuff because of the liabilities of the furnace. Would that have happened?
Sorry, does she own that side?
It's a house. It's a full house.
Oh, it's a full house. Okay. So the furnace would be covered because it's attached. So if it had caused a fire, it would have been covered because it's attached to the structure. But like appliances like refrigerators and dishwashers are not covered because they're not fixed, right?
Permanent.
That's kind of,
and the tenant wouldn't be covered in any form or fashion in that situation, probably.
But again, why go through the stressors of it? If you had insurance in place, your insurance will cover you. Then they'll work it. And you guys, that's what you do, right? You all work it out amongst you. Your client is your primary concern.
Yeah.
They're paid out, and then everybody else sorts it out behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No,
go
I was going to add to the original question. So I'm sorry, you go ahead. We're kind of
okay. All right. I was just going to highlight, and to your point, Chris, Trish, one of our other moderators. So, hey, Trish, thanks for tuning in. When I was younger and renting, tenants downstairs had a fire. You don't need insurance until you really need it, right? It's you don't want to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have some stories that would blow you guys away, and I don't want to scare all your little landlords here.
No, actually, you know what? The shock factor is good. Tell one of them.
Okay.
Give us a war story.
Okay, so this is the worst one. This is the worst story I've heard. There was a renter that had renter's insurance, and he lived in an apartment building, and he was canceled for non-payment the next day. Literally, the policy was canceled the next day. He caused a fire that burned down this multi-million-dollar, apartment building. And the insurance company would not cover him because he was canceled the day before for non-payment. And so now the insurance company for the property will be chasing this person for the rest of his life to try and, get back some of the lost money that they've had to pay out for this property.
Could he force a bankruptcy, I guess? I mean, that's just going back into debt stuff. But basically his financial position was ruined, and he has to restart. Like, wow.
Yeah, and he's vanished. He's just disappeared. Nobody can find him. They don't know where he's gone.
What a life
yeah.
to live, eh?
Yeah, right?
That's
Like
tough.
that's, and that's why it's so important to have that document tracking, because, you never know. And another thing I wanted to say about why it's important for the renters to have insurance, I think it's also really important to point out to them that it's not just because the landlord wants them to have it, right? It's also because their stuff is worth more than they think. In the event of a loss, like if they sit down and think about how much would it cost to buy my TV and my bed and my couch and stuff like that, it adds up really, really quickly, right? It also helps build their credit. It keeps a roof over their head. So if there was to be a fire and the house burned down, your insurance is going to pay for a hotel for their insurance is going to pay for them, right? Like there's so many added reasons to have renters insurance instead of just, oh, my landlord said I have to. Like it's
the peace of mind factor. And what, like I said, what I learned today in the show, what you alluded earlier, is they're, like you said, it builds up their credit, and if they've got that policy in good standing for 5 or 6 years, and it's like a stepping stone to home ownership. This is another thing they need to have to get lower insurance rates. And like it's just, yeah. So I think that was Stephen that you answered that question. So I mean, I think we threw probably 5 or 6 points at you just to kind of remove objections, but it's just the right peace of mind at the end of the day for all parties that each have their own insurance.
Oh, and I wanted to say, when we sign up a partner to have their referral code, I send a whole bunch of documents to the landlord. And one of them is a little PDF that says, why do I need renter's insurance? And so, your renter asks you, you can send that straight to them, and it's got fun little graphics and,
Awesome.
I actually include that in my package to them. It's another thing that I print out, and it's right in there, and it's attached to my whole lease and everything as to why they need those, and also one with the application.
Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
And Steven says, thanks. Great info. Right on. And we've been talking about this partnership. We haven't really told people how to access. So if you guys are interested, I know there's probably, we got 15 or 20-ish landlords, I think, signed up now, Courtney. And that last we kind of talked about it.
Yeah, I think about that.
In that range. So I have a Google form. It will be on Mighty Networks. I now realize I don't think it's actually there. So before I go to bed tonight, it will be on Mighty Networks. So first thing tomorrow, if you guys check over Mighty Networks under our preferred partners and discounts, there'll be the link for a little Google form. I'll just ask you some basic questions, your name, what do you want for your promo code, some contact info, how many rental properties, all that kind of stuff. Courtney automatically gets that. And then on her side, usually get a reply out in the next couple of business days, just to say it fair. So
yeah. I try and do it the next day, even if it comes in on the weekend. But sometimes it just gets missed. But I do my best.
So and that's fine. So I mean, and I think part of too why we're happy to partner with you guys, Courtney, is we have your presence on our site. You're answering questions, and we get to do shows like this. So. Folks, if you are interested, I think it's a great product. I'm personally using it myself. You saw my screen shares. So I think it's a great service because, again, not only do you protect your backside, but making sure your tenants have insurance, when it gets canceled with the automation they've got built into the offer, and you really are in the know as a landlord, and knowledge is power in this game to protect your side, protect your backside. Yeah.
Right on.
So,
well, Max, send us off. Are we done?
I can't. I made a promise.
You did? What's your promise?
So Barbara had a great question, and actually it was Steven's question on March 14th. So I'm going to quickly share. Courtney, we're going to drag you on for a little bit of overtime, just 2 more minutes. I'm sure it'll be quick, and we'll help out some more landlords here, and then we'll wrap up the show, because we haven't done this for a bit, Chris, and this is kind of the bread and butter of why the show got popular. We need to do a little bit more of it, but so Steven did this post about checking employment references. What kind of questions are you legally allowed, I'm assuming, to ask employers for screening, or what kind of info can employers discuss about their employees? So Chris, I'll throw this one to you first. What's your experience doing employment checks? Do you get feedback? Do they shut you down because of privacy? What's your general success rate on your background checks?
The easiest way to do it is they can verify what you have. So if you ask all the questions ahead of time from the tenant, so when you're calling the landlord saying, yeah, I'm calling to do an employment check for so and so, and I have some questions. If you could please verify the following. And they should be going to tell their employer that you're going to be calling so that they know, or going to their HR or whatever, or you can at least find out. So when you call in, you say, does so-and-so work for you? How long have they worked for you for a number? You can try asking, how long have they worked for you? And if they don't want to tell you that, then you go to can you verify that they've been there at least 14 years or at least 4 years, whatever. And again, I also like to verify their income, and sometimes, again, depending on who you're talking to, they will give it to you. If not, you go back the other way with the question, can you verify that they make $47,000 a year? So it's all in presentation, right?
Exactly. And that's what I do as well. I like that, because Christy, you've got a background as a police officer, 25 years. This is like right up your alley. But the same as well. I will go in and I'll get to the right person. So usually, I find my success rate is majority of the time, 60 to 80% of the time, I'm getting the information I'm looking for. I find it's higher with smaller companies where you're talking directly to a supervisor, because they have probably the same knowledge you have around people or privacy and all that. And generally, if you do what Chris says and you word the question saying, hey, just to confirm, I'm not asking you to disclose anything, but I was told this is their what they make per paycheck. Does that sound in the right ballpark? They go, yeah, okay, cool. And you go on, can you confirm, is their employment stable? They, show up to work in time. And if you had the chance to rehire this person, or if you were a landlord, you're going to would you rent out to this person? And that's usually a pretty telling question right there. So
if you think about it, you're interviewing them as though you're hiring them. So I know they're renting from you, but you interview it as though whether you would like to hire them. And so whether you want them in your life. So those are the types of questions you should ask of what you would want someone. So legally, you can ask pretty much anything you want, and you'll get shut down if they don't want to tell you, they'll shut you down.
And I've been forced by bigger companies they have written proof. They just want to cover the backside, and once you show that with your application, again, they're an open book. I love getting property management company because they get it. They need to know if this tenant's good or bad. They'll help somebody else too, because we're all in the same business. So
cool.
Let's wrap her up.
Put your little plug in for Mighty Networks and all our other stuff going on.
It didn't really happen. I had some IT issues. I don't know why. I am an IT guy, but anyways, if you folks are new, as always, check us out on YouTube, findgreattenants.com. Tenants is with an S. We're over at Mighty Networks, including our partnership with Nuera. So there's a complete section dedicated to the different companies that we're partnered with and what they offer, and the unique discounts that they've got for us. I mean, I love the tool that Courtney, you guys have done with the auto notifications. It's just a powerful tool for us as landlords to keep us in tune. And other than that, that's over at albertalandlordcommunity.ca. That's how you can get set up on Mighty Networks, which is also where our future conversations going. As I love that Facebook's connected us, but it's also not our territory. So I want to make sure if something does happen, we're still able to have a conversation to help people out. So get yourself signed up at Mighty Networks.
Mighty Networks. And thanks for the engagement on the page, guys. Everyone, keep your questions. Tonight were great on the page. When you put your questions up there, look at questions as an opportunity to learn. Sometimes we get into some little tiny conflicts, but that comes with managing people. Let's try to keep it positive. Not everybody's an expert in here. That's why they're on the page, guys. So you know what?
We're all learning.
We're all learning. Mac and I learn every day. I'm sure Courtney's learning as to how to deal with these people on this page.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining, like you say. So let's not make it too entertaining from a from a rant and rave point of view, but let's make it entertaining from an educational point of view, guys. Yeah. And so stay positive on the page and help everybody out. And don't pose the question, why would you do this? Put it a little bit differently. Think about the person receiving the message on the other end. That's all I ask, is to be kind to one another, because that's that's what we're trying to do on this page.
Get the best feedback that way.
The best feedback as you can.
Cool.
Take care, everyone. Courtney, stick around behind the scenes. We'll have a visit afterwards.
Before we shut off the show, how can we get a hold of you, Courtney, if people got questions for you?
So you can go onto the website, nuerainsurance.ca, or you can email me. I don't know if there's a place to like post that on the video anywhere.
I will.
If not, I will do a post tonight with
do
a link to our
post and
website.
just say, hey, I was on the show tonight. Some questions. Feel free to reach out to me. That'd be a great idea. Perfect.
And then I just wanted to say quickly, if anyone ever has insurance questions, please feel free to tag me. I know Chris does sometimes. I'm always happy to answer any kind of questions that I can. Okay.
We'll definitely pick your brain. Love it. Thank you, Courtney, for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everybody, for joining. Take care, everyone.